The Ghost Wife. Hello, I'm wondering, do you guys remember who I am? I'm Sophia's boyfriend, who lives at Western 401 apartment. In the previous video, I have told you her spiritual story sorted by my psychic friend. Today, I'm going to tell you another spiritual story. Please stay tuned. Everything began from that particular night. One of my colleagues and I hung out and had some drinks together. He had insisted me come with him because he had something very important to tell me. I always go easy with my coworkers, but that day, I had no idea what Theodore was getting into, so that he treated me to some drinks. I told him that we were coworkers and close friends already. He didn't need to waste his money for me. It turned out he wanted me to ask Adam and help him out. He heard that I have a psychic friend who could see the spiritual stuff and wanted me to introduce Adam to him. I was curious about what Theodore was getting in, how serious it was. So I confessed that I had a psychic friend as he heard of and asked him what his troubles were. After a long while of thinking, Theodore started to tell me what happened to him. His face was perplexed. He told me that he had been followed by a woman from a very young age. An invisible woman followed him and protected him every time he needed to when he was a child. He told me lots of strange events had happened to him, but there were two of them that were very impressive to him. First off, that was when he was 7 years old. He was very naughty and climbed up to a very high tree to find a bird's nest. Once he found the nest and collected the bird's eggs, he was very excited and shouted out happily. And then, he fell off from the tree. As a result of that, Theodore fell off from a high distance of the tree. He thought he might die, or at the best of luck, he would break his legs or arms for sure. Once he nearly at the ground, he felt that there was a woman's arm reached out to him and picked him up. And so, he had landed to the ground lightly, not even a scratch on his body. He looked around and saw a huge rock there on the ground next to him. So if the invisible woman didn't open her arms for him, he might die already because of that massive rock. Another time was when he and some of his friends hang out at a river. When he swam back to the bank, he had an accident. All of a sudden, the stream got stronger, and Theodore had a ramp. He had been sunk to the bottom of the river. He had shortness of breath, and his mouth was full of water already. He thought he could not make it alive anymore, and out of the blue, he could feel the familiar arms were there. That arm picked him up out of the water. He was able to come back to life as a miracle. He told me that he wanted to see the face of his life's savior once in his lifetime, but he wasn't. All he could feel was that as a woman. Firstly, Theodore thought that his life's savior was his mom, but he gradually felt that was not her. The invisible woman existed and made him felt lucky. But once he was getting mature, he felt that his luck wasn't there anymore, especially once he started to date a girl. Theodore has not been in any trouble, but his girlfriends were. All of the 3 girls he had dated got some strange events. They started to frighten, got scared and left him. His first girlfriend was Amelia. One time, he invited his girlfriend to his house, but after a while of chatting, she wanted to go to the bathroom, and after a few minutes, Theodore heard her scream. Theodore was very confused and came to the bathroom to check on her instantly. Once he opened the bathroom door, Theodore saw Amelia was covering all her face with her hands. Her body was shaking as if there was something scary in front of her. He asked what wrong with her. She pointed to the mirror in front of her and faltered that there was a ghost in there. Amelia was shaking and pointing to the mirror, repeatedly told him that she just saw a ghost woman in there. Theodore looked at the mirror in Amelia's hand direction, but he wasn't able to see any abnormal thing in the mirror. He only saw Amelia and his own reflections in there. Theodore took Amelia back to the living room and soothed her. After calming her down, he asked her lightly what she had seen in the bathroom earlier and scared her that bad. Amelia told Theodore that she went to the bathroom and stood at the lavabo to wash her hands. While she was sanitizing her hands, she gazed up at the mirror. Then she saw a woman appeared in the mirror. The woman angrily stared at her from the mirror with her scary eyes that scared Amelia to death. So she screamed out, and Theodore ran to the bathroom. After that incident, Amelia decided to break up with Theodore. She said she was terrified of his place. 1 year later, Theodore met Isabella, his second girlfriend. Isabella was a brave girl. She loved Theodore madly. Just a concise amount of time of dating, they have come to the marriage decision. And then, just right before their wedding a few days, there was another event. That night, when Isabella and Theodore were sleeping, Isabella was lying next to Theodore, and she felt that something was grabbing her legs then pulling her out of bed. Theodore had heard a loud noise and awoke. He saw his soon-to-be wife was falling on the ground, and there was no one else there in the bedroom. He asked his girlfriend what happened to her. Isabella had told him there was someone who violently pulled her out of bed. After that night, she had been experienced another terrifying threat. Even how brave she was, Isabella wasn't able to be under that kind of horrible pressure anymore, so they broke up. His other girlfriend had been experienced some similar stuff like the others. Theodore was really annoying with that invisible woman. She made his life more and more terrible. He was heartbroken when he had to break up with one and another girlfriend because of her. Theodore insisted that he really needed Adam's help. He wanted his life to be normal. I was really shocked and sympathized with Theodore when hearing all of that. I told him that I would help him and called Adam right then. If I am in his situation, I will piss off as well, so I called Adam in front of him and told Adam that Theodore needed his help, then invited Adam to come over to Theodore's house to help him. I gave Adam Theodore's address, asked for the bill, and backed Theodore's house. We stood at the doorstep to wait for Adam for less than 20 minutes. Theodore paid Adam's taxi fee, and they started to introduce themselves to each other. I introduced Adam to Theodore. I told him that Adam was the one he wanted to see, a master psychic, very gifted, and capable of helping him out. I also introduced that Theodore was my coworker. Adam is talented. After my case, I heard about many more cases he had been involved in. But he was a very humble one. He ignored the fact that he was a master in his field. He replied that he wasn't a master at all. All the compliments were unreal. He was just simply having passions with spiritualists. After looking at Theodore, Adam asked him if Theodore had a severe sickness when he was a child. Theodore confirmed that Adam's guess was correct. He said that he had the severe disease at 5. Everyone thought he was unable to be out of the woods back then. Magically, he was able to recover well afterward, and since then, he didn't have any health problems. Theodore was talking in a very positive way at that moment, and I wondered how Adam could know all of that and what Adam asked after that for. It was likely that Adam could read the scene already. He was very confident with the thoughts in his head. He told Theodore that he understood what happened already. I came closer to Adam, shoulder to shoulder, and asked him curiously what wrong and what he had seen. I wanted to know what Adam had read from my coworker's situation. Adam didn't answer me right then. He told us to come into Theodore's house, told me to come in first, then he would tell us what happened to Theodore. Once the door was opened, I felt a cool breeze and got a little bit scared. I tried to pull myself together since I had heard what happened to Theodore's girlfriends in the house already, so I was really terrified. Adam led the way and wide opened the door. Adam stepped into the house and told me that the yin was all over the house. Someone was living with Theodore, making Theodore and me a little shaken. I came after Adam to the house. I whispered to him that I didn't feel anything about the ghost or spirit there, I just a bit scared. Like the last time at my girlfriend's apartment, Adam asked me if I wanted to see that thing. I nodded my head a few times to reply that I wanted to see that thing a little. Adam took the familiar bag I had seen before. If my memories were correct, there was some flour in that bag. I saw Adam put his hand inside and took out a big fist of flour. He tossed the flour to the air with his hand, and indeed that was the white flour I had seen at my girlfriend's place. That white flour flew around and made me sneeze a few times in a row. That was really uncomfortable to breathe it in. After a few sneezes, I could use to it. I gazed up to see what happened to the house after covering with flour, and I got frightened from what I have seen in the house. I saw something which had been called yin flows flew in the air like a mess. Those yin flows flew everywhere in the house, to the couch, the floor, television. Those looked very scary at that time. Those flows sent shivers down my spine. I asked Adam if those flows were the spirit's traces. He confirmed instantly and explained to me those flows were left there since the spirit had walked by or touched too. Theodore was scared when seeing those stuff in the house, thinking about someone who had been following him for years. He was shaking with fear, his body was very sweaty. He spoke Adam's hands. He asked Adam to help him out what he should do and how the spirit could go easy. Adam told Theodore to calm down first. He had to pinpoint why the spirit followed Theodore in the first place. From Theodore's words, that spirit had followed him for years, even saved his life multiple times. There must have been a reason for that. Adam asked Theodore to think carefully about why that spirit followed him and recall carefully if he or his family had taken any kind of rituals earlier. It might be Theodore, and the spirit had a contract already. Theodore determined that he didn't know anything about what happened to him when he was a little, but then he got a bit hesitant. He didn't remember if his parents have done anything. Adam implied that it might be Theodore's mother knew something. She had taken a ritual in the past, but since she had passed away when Theodore was a little child, so she didn't have a chance to tell him yet. Adam thought that Theodore's father must have known something about that, so he asked Theodore better to call his father and ask him out instantly. Theodore agreed. He came to find his phone, picked it up, and dialed his father's number. While Theodore was calling his father, I turned to Adam and asked him if he could understand what happened already and how he could know all of that. I thought Adam had all the leads and already imagined everything in his head, but instead of told Theodore the whole thing instantly, he wanted Theodore to find out step by step. Adam told me that he could read the scene thanks to his special eyes, and on top of that, as Theodore's words, Theodore's parents didn't live with him from a very young age, and Theodore's life wasn't supposed to take that long. He had been destined to be died young. There must have been a spirit protecting him. But obviously, that was not his mother. Since his mother had passed away after a few unusual events happened to him. After talking to his father, Theodore came back to us. He told us that when he was 5 years old, there was really a ritual taken by his parents. It turned out that Theodore was destined to be untimely dead. When he was 5 years old, he had a very severe health issue, but after asking around, his mother had figured out there was a spiritual way to save his life. They had to marry him a ghost wife to protect him, so there was a contract to keep him alive until now, and not long after the ritual, his mother had died. His father didn't want to scare him out, so Theodore's father had kept that secret. Theodore didn't know about that contract the whole time. His lifesaver was his ghost wife, so his girlfriends had been in trouble repeatedly. Adam told us that first of all, we had to take worship to make her visible. She didn't want to reveal her face before Theodore in those years. He had to see her first. I felt that Theodore's life was miserable. He had to live with that ghost wife and unable to marry a normal girl, which was also very scary. Adam said that Theodore didn't have to live alone with the ghost wife all of his life. But he had to finish the worship to see the ghost wife's face and asked his ghost wife's opinions. That was a way to end his abnormal marriage. Theodore was a bit frightened. He asked Adam if he could really escape from the ghost after the ritual. Everyone would scare of being married to a ghost. At that moment, Adam was likely to side with Theodore's ghost wife. He reminded Theodore that the ghost had followed him when he was a child and protected him through lots of unfortunate events. He wanted Theodore to take deep thinking before he makes his decision. Did Theodore really want his wife, his lifesaver, to leave him later on? Theodore was drowned in his thought and had no ideas what he should do. He just wanted to marry a normal girl, not a ghost. He faltered about what he should do. Adam helped Theodore to see his ghost wife first. Eventually, he set up the ritual so that Theodore could see his ghost wife. Adam brought a table next to the bed. He put a huge mirror on the table and 2 white candles next to the mirror. Theodore was a bit scared of everything he might see. He didn't have the gut to close his eyes out, but after a while, he fell asleep and passed out. In the middle of the night, he felt cold and awakened. At that moment, he was lying opposite the mirror. He widened his eyes and looked at the mirror. In the mirror, he saw a woman was sleeping right next to him on the bed. That was his wife. He turned his head toward the woman in the bed, who had been lived with him for years and saved him from time to time to see how she looked like. But he saw no one there. Theodore pulled himself together and once again wide opened his eyes and looked at the mirror. This time, he could see his ghost wife's face. She was so familiar to him. He might see her once at the time his mother made the contract. But then, Theodore could calm down. Weirdly, he closed his eyes and went to sleep. A year later, Theodore got married and invited Adam and me to come to his wedding. His second girlfriend, Isabella, had accepted his proposal after hearing the whole thing. Theodore looked like being over cloud 9 at that moment. Adam and I sat together and talked about Theodore. I said that was all thanks to Adam. I wondered if the 3 of them could live together in harmony. Theodore got 2 wives eventually. Adam asked me if I wanted. He could help me have 2 wives as Theodore, but that was so horrible to me. I could not imagine that an invisible woman was standing by me all the time. That was enough for my body to shake. Come to think of it, my girlfriend is already getting me so many troubles. I don't want to think about a ghost girlfriend. That day, I drank too much at the wedding. On the way back, I talked to Adam lots of stuff. I told him I admired him because he had a great talent and wanted to follow him. Adam half joked to me. He told me that I will have a short-lived life if I persuade that job. I was serious about that. I saw that it was a great job. I would be able to help people and earn money from that. That would be fun. I wanted to follow Adam. I ignored the fact that I might live a shorter amount of time than a normal person, but he was unlikely to talk about that topic anymore. He told me I have drunk, and we better headed home. I was indeed overdrunk. I talked trash to him like, "What's home? Where is my home?" After that time, Adam often takes me with him every time he helps people. I could see many magical and interesting events later on. It looks like a whole new world was opening in front of me.